one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Bikeman. Basinger.
Present.
Boss.
Present.
Ekis.
Present.
Fry. Gross.
Present.
Schroller.
Present.
Braun. We have a quorum.
All right. We're going to read the call, please.
To Honorable Carla Grund, Mayor, City of Marysville, we, the undersigned council members of the City of Marysville, hereby respectfully request that you call a special council meeting of the members of the governing body of said city to be held at 5 p.m. on Thursday, September 8, 2016, in the council chambers at City Hall for the following purpose: to discuss and approve the proposed changes to the Memorandum of Understanding with Union Pacific Distribution Services.
Thank you. You guys all received the information that was distributed with the call. You also have a copy on your desk if you did not bring yours. At the time this was distributed, Craig, our city attorney, had drafted up his response based on our meeting last week. And since that was also distributed to Doug Graham with UPDS, and since that time he's already got his responses back for our revised changes. So I think the easiest thing to do right now is to go through his response, and then he also sent a new draft of the proposed agreement with those changes. So I think the best thing to do is to go through the items as Craig presented, as well as with the responses from UPDS. All right? So you want the document that looks like this with the little bullet holes? You guys with me? We're going to start with that?
This?
Yes. All right. So again, Craig drafted this based on our comments. The first one was whether it would be a binding agreement. They did add information at the very back saying on page 4 and page 5, making it a legally binding contract, or I believe that's a Craig question, and he is supposed to be here later. But basically their comment was the MOU is the only document, but they did add that information at the back. So as long as Craig says it's legally binding, I'm okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Are you all right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next points on Craig's list was defining the 7th Street corridor and the 7th Street, which we haven't done yet. Or I should say it's not included in the documents. We'll have to make sure that's clear. They put some of it, I should say, they put some of it on page 1 under definitions. I think it needs to be a little more clear than that. So we just need to clarify this a little bit farther. I should start off with one comment in that after reading this document again, and I talked to Austin about this today, that the legal description in all our ordinances and all our records for that intersection is really called a center and 7th Street. It's not Highway 36/77 in our city. It's called center. So I think what we do need to change is to make references to that intersection always to be center. Which, Doug, you wouldn't have a problem with that. Okay, so that's one change I know we need to make throughout the document. All right, I'm going on. So I think what we need to do is tell him what we want the 7th Street corridor described as, and what we want 7th Street described as. And I don't think Craig had time to do that, but Austin, you and I can get that done, don't you think? Mm-hmm. Of course, you're going to be at the office tomorrow.
There.
So Monday?
Yeah.
You think we can get that clarified?
I think so.
Or Debbie, you might be able to help me. Okay. All right. So going along, let's see, more detailed language under paragraph 2. I think that's taken care of if we have our definitions correct. Are you guys tracking with me?
No.
Kind of.
Okay.
Mine goes, excuse me, Mayor, mine goes page, this is numbered, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then it jumps to page 1 of 7. I don't have any,
We're going through the 1 of 7.
One that says
I'm
third
sorry,
draft on it.
we're going through the one with the bullets. This is exactly as Craig produced, and this is the UPDS response to it. Are you with me?
Yes.
So we're going through this to make sure everything in there is what we wanted and what UPDS's response is. Got it?
yes, thank you.
Okay, so we're going through the one with the one that has the bullet points to the side, to the
Okay.
right. The second bullet on Craig's, where it says more detailed language, I think that's taken care of, provided we get 7th Street corridor and 7th Street defined.
The only thing, I think where that was coming in, it was not so much the definition of those streets, but what they wanted to, in terms of the 100, where exactly the, I'm going to say this wrong, the 75 and the 35 fit, which is in that diagram in a more detailed, which
Oh,
may
you're
be
saying
covered
where
later.
the break, yeah, and then I think we're going to define the corridor. You're just saying where the 70 feet ends and
70
the
feet.
35 cannot be restricted.
Yes, and is it more over by, it just so that it doesn't end up being in Schroller's backyard as opposed to
Define
Cromie's or
70
whatever,
versus
so.
35 where it is
Yeah.
on the map. Okay. You don't have a problem with that, do you, Doug? Okay. So we'll make that change. So I'll make that. All right. The next bullet point, they basically said rejected must be 4 years. I did talk to Doug earlier today, and I said we are stating that is on his 1 of 7. You see his 1 of 7? In the paragraph where it says Union Pacific Distribution Services about halfway through, we were referring to that as if UPDS is unable to, second to the last line, if UPDS is unable to secure such business with its WINS customers as of 1/1/18, we would need to renegotiate those. And yeah, so Doug thought we were just saying no matter what, and we were saying if there's no WIN distribution or WINS customers, and he's okay with putting it in there if it applies only to not having WIN customers.
Yeah, what I would like to do, if we could, is just to say, we would word this to say that if, no commerce, no WIN business comes to the WIN distribution center between October 1st, and I would like to extend this a little bit from January of 18, if we could. I would like to extend it at least till October of 18, if that's possible. That gives us a little more time. But if there's nothing at that time, that we would renegotiate, or maybe even, the contract could be null and void. Because if we don't have any business by then, we might not have any business at all, so.
Well, that's what we kind of thought, even giving you 15 months. We figured if they didn't utilize the tax credits in 2016 or 2017, you probably weren't going to get the business. Or how do you guys feel about extending it for a 2-year period versus 15 months?
I think that'd be fine.
Oh, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think, the deal is that even though the tax credits and all that are extended, the reaction to the industry is always delayed. And if I had a little more time, and 17 may be, maybe a time frame where it could happen and it would come in 18. So, yeah, we're agreeable to that. We understand where you're coming from. There's no reason to having a document out there between us that doesn't
Have any business.
So, yeah, we were good with that. So, yeah, I'm sorry I put rejected, but because I need the 4 years, but if we write it that way, it'll be great.
It was missing a part.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so.
That's
Okay,
understandable.
and the next item there about UP paying for traffic lights, again, that was if required by KDOT, and when I read in your document on page, you said it was rejected, but you have somewhere in here that signage, let's see. you have at the bottom of page 2, all signage erected by KDOT controlled roadways must be approved by KDOT. UPDS will pay for all signage installed because of traffic changes as a result of this distribution center. Aren't you in fact doing what we're asking there? Because
You're saying traffic lights.
well, wouldn't that be included in signage?
No, a light is totally different than just signage.
Well, we were thinking, and we were talking specifically about 7th Street, and we'll call it Center Street from now on, that if KDOT came in and required a traffic light for some reason, that it would be caused by your business, would be the only reason that they would require that there, and that you would pick up the cost for that. Does that make sense?
So not knowing the ins and outs of that, I don't know how that works. I mean, if KDOT says that they want to put lights up, does the city always pay for?
For instance, we're about to do a corridor study, and the engineers that are going to do that already know that you're looking at doing this, and they're going to take that into consideration. If that study comes back and says, because of this wind traffic specifically, that we need to upgrade it like this, I mean, that's what we would be taking into consideration. Usually, I don't want to, I think that was my main point, yeah.
We were talking specifically at that intersection, and specifically if it was required because of your business.
Okay. And so, Austin, do you have any idea of what those cost factors might be?
Not right off the top of my head.
Is there an estimate that you could possibly get between now and
yes,
tomorrow sometime that would allow us to cap that? So if I knew what the exposure was.
okay.
You know, I mean, if it's $1 million, we can't do it.
What's the 11th? What were the numbers we got back on the 11th road? I mean, it shouldn't be more than that.
Well, didn't we pay $150 for that one up here on the geometric design?
20th. That's what the numbers I was going to go pull. I'm not sure.
That's a four-way.
Yeah, that's four-way right there.
With sensors.
23, so.
But this one might be different because you have specific parameters that it has to be so high.
It just has to be 3 feet higher, but it depends on how they, you know, the state of lighting today for traffic is totally different than what you have on the corner of 8th, you know, 8th Street here in Center. So, you know, they may want to go as, you know, real high tech, and they may want to go with the Cadillac version, right? And which, I mean, I would understand, but if we can cap it, and I know what the exposure is, then I can accrue possibly for that, and we might be agreeable to that. But I would need to know something. So you're saying 150,000, Todd, was?
That well,
I think that's
what Carlos.
It's not about what we paid for that.
And the city paid for that versus the state?
Well, it was all part of the KDOT geometric improvement project. So KDOT paid for $750,000, and we paid $560,000 for that whole project. But it was part of that project.
But the 11th Road one, I think the numbers on that were a little bit higher, but I don't know if that was including some kind of engineering that this was otherwise taken care of, right?
If we can save that one and just, I mean, we're agreeable to some exposure there, but I just need to understand what that is. I can't agree to $1 million.
Okay.
Well, we wouldn't want that light at all. It's only a block. It would be for your convenience totally.
Going back to the transportation management program, access management program, if they would require it, would they help pay for it? Is that how it's?
Yes, what it is they'll do the study, and if they'll make strong recommendations, they'll make and varying degrees of recommendations as far as what to do with our roadways. And if we're following their plans, they will chip in some money for it. And that's the whole reason for doing the access management, was to get some KDOT money. So
at this time, that's an unknown for us as well, what KDOT would contribute. Obviously, we wouldn't expect you to be responsible for the KDOT portion, but...
Right. Yeah, if we can put a cap on this of some dollar amount,
Right.
that will make this go a lot smoother.
Okay.
So, I don't know what that is, but because I don't know enough about traffic signaling, lighting, I'm sorry. I'm not an expert in that.
Okay.
All right, so that one we'll kind of push forward to discuss later.
Carla, can I make a suggestion just real quick? The items that I highlighted were the only items that were either rejected or needed to be discussed. Everything else that's on here, we are agreeing to. So if it's not highlighted and having a little comment section out to the right-hand side, we're agreeable with what Craig and the city has provided to us.
Okay, and my only point is just to make sure, because Craig drafted this up to make sure Craig got everything that we are, but we'll do it quickly, okay? So the next point was on page 4, and I don't think that change was made, but I'm not sure that needs to be made because 7th Street, I think, is adequate.
You have to go back to the original document.
Yeah.
And I don't have that here, and you guys probably don't have the original MOU in front of you.
Yeah, we
If you
do.
Okay, you do. Sorry, if you do, then
Okay, yeah, but,
whatever change that needs to be, that will be made.
okay, I think we initially said it should say corridor there, but really, that is just a street there, so we really want it just for the street. So we're gonna leave that as is. Do you guys agree with that? Okay, so that we're just gonna leave it as it is, and they, I don't believe, made that change. Because there still says 7, on number 3 on there, 2 of 7, you guys try to track with me, 2 of 7, on there, number 3.
Oh, no, that's fine, thank you.
Just says 7th Street on it.
I'll look over.
So I think we're okay with that. They did pull number 5 and number 7, which we recommended. And on page 1, they did add that corridor. Page 2, let's see. Anyway, I'm pretty sure they made it. Let's see. Page 2, paragraph 1. And adding corridor. Okay, paragraph 1, page 2. Oh, but they didn't do that one. Let's see. So it would be 2 of 7 under, in return UPDS will, under the number 1. And I think this says cover the Marysville-owned section of 7th Street, and we wanted you to put in the word corridor there, and you didn't. Do you know why?
It's probably just a mistake. We would cover
Okay,
that.
okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
excuse me, there are 7 documents in front of us here. When you switch from the one that has the bullets that they responded to another, will you tell us what the front page is so we can follow along on that?
Okay, I will. It's kind of hard to differentiate which one's which, but I'll try.
Thank you.
Okay, so we just need to make them make that change. The next one listed at the following, will procure and pay for proper engineering. I believe that is in here. There it is, at the top of page 3 of 7. Top of page 3 of 7. They added that bullet point of their third draft, but see, this is the only 7-page document, so.
About the engineering, are you referring to the?
Yeah, the proper engineering.
Okay.
So they inserted that language there. Are you guys okay with that?
Just the first bullet or the whole thing? 1, 2, 3, 4 bullets?
No, just the first bullet at the top of page 3 is what Craig recommended and they put in.
Okay.
I think
And
it'd be
then-
a lot easier if we did just go by the stuff that they rejected, because I think we're getting lost going back and forth from page.
That's what I'm
Okay,
saying, from
so-
document to document.
You guys read, okay, so you guys read what Craig wrote,
Yes.
and do you believe he missed anything?
Not from what I read in it.
Other than that one that we already discussed. About
Okay.
About the 2-year, the cutoff.
Okay, so we will, and you're comfortable that all these changes were made in this draft? You're going to make that assumption? Or you want to just go through these first? You want to just go through the bullets first?
Carla, can I make this? If they're not in here, we will get them in.
Okay.
So, I mean,
fair enough.
If they're not highlighted, they're in the document.
Or they should be in the document.
Well, they will be in the final draft. We will ensure that they are
Okay.
all in the final draft.
Okay,
So,
okay.
it-
So, going back to that, going to the bullet point page, and we'll be on page 2. Are you with me? Because we know 1, Craig's going to answer. Comment number 2, we're going to change. And comment number 3, Doug's going to get more information. So now we're on the second page. Comment U4. You with me? All right.
I'm sorry. We've gone to the second, comment U4, I got you, okay, thank you very
Comment
much.
U4.
Thank you, trying to follow.
And that was talking about the rail trail and what they'll do regarding the caboose.
The situation here was the adding of the new rail bed, which would be placed for the caboose. So that really is the only part that's kind of rejected. The rest of it is we're going to move the caboose, we'll put it over there. So our counter offer to this is that because the depot group does not have any capital, that we will provide free of charge the materials needed to place the caboose on. So that would be used rail, used railroad ties, used tie plates, and used bars that connect the rail. We will provide all of the materials that are needed to set the caboose on. We will not assemble, and we will not provide ballast, but we will provide all of the other materials, the main hard core rail materials.
So that'll be added on page 3, the first bullet point after the caboose, right?
So if you just take out the word develop new rail bed, you take those words out, we can then add after the thing is to, which will be, we will secure and place the caboose on rail materials, and I'll outline those again.
But you realize this was there for your protection, not, this was us basically saying the city will ensure that that gets done. It wasn't saying you're doing it, it's saying that we were ensuring that it would get done.
Is the Preservation Society doing that
so this,
stuff?
if we take it out, then you're basically taking the protection away from yourself.
Yeah, but all they're gonna do is move the caboose.
Well, I know, but they
Now I'm
can't.
going to provide you with free materials too.
Yeah, now you're going to provide
rail,
free
or what?
materials. Free materials. Yeah.
No, I
You have free material. I mean, I understand where the depot is trying to get everything they can, but
Well, no, it was about the depot setting up the site. They're going to set up the site.
Okay, yeah, you can read it kind of 2 ways, is how this is written. I was assuming that you were expecting UPDS to provide the bed.
No.
But we will provide the free materials anyway, because we're that kind of company.
It's your business.
Well, that sounds good, but not just anybody can put together the rail and ties. Or what's the, what would be your recommendation as far as whom to put together that? I mean, a lot of retired railroaders don't really want to go drive spikes on a voluntary basis anymore, which I don't blame them. So the materials are great, but how does that even work? Are there companies that UPDS works with that it could be contracted with, or logistically, how would that be assembled?
I think that I would assume that we could work with the depot group on that. We can't assemble it on site because of liability. Right. So that's where we run into it. We can provide and drop the materials there and provide those to them. I'll go out and drive a few spikes if that's what we got to do. I used to do that, so I know how to do that. Matter of fact, it'd be kind of fun for about the first one. Maybe the second one. But that would be, I think that needs to be up to the depot group.
But you could work with the depot group on
We would work with
finding a solution.
Yes, try to find a solution.
That's
try
what I'm
to help them. We could probably help them with that.
We're only talking 2 length of track.
So you're gonna do one? Deal.
Well, yeah, I would.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to add that on rail materials provided by UPDS or whatever, that they will not assemble or provide ballots, but will provide guidance. Is that all right, guys? Something like that?
Are you back in the contract, Mayor?
I'm back, yeah.
What page, please?
I'm page 7 of the revised contract, and I'm on page 2 of the comment section. All right?
2 of the bullet points, this one isn't even
Yeah.
numbered page-wise.
It is, page 2 of the, well, just remember U4 is at the top, okay?
All right.
So we're gonna make that change on the agreement, right? On page 3. Okay, going to page, the comment U5, that's really up to Craig to read the hold harmless and indemnity agreement and decide if he's okay with it, so.
Right, so that next bullet is regarding that we have language that we will be providing to the city probably tomorrow morning, bright and early, that we will provide to Craig and the rest of you, that basically just talks about that when we pick up the caboose, we cannot be held responsible or liable for anything that happens while we're picking up the caboose. Now, we'll have professional people doing this, and I think we can pick it up and safely move it across the street, but that caboose is pretty old, and it could fall apart, and we're gonna do everything in our power to not do that, to have it fall apart, but things could break or fall or be damaged, and we will not be held liable for that. But we'll move it and we'll get it over there, and I feel very comfortable. I went over and looked at it today. It's pretty sound. I think we're gonna be okay, but things could happen, and that's the only language we'll put in, is that UPDS and our subcontractors will not be held liable by the Union Pacific Depot Preservation Society group or the city when we're moving it. Does that make sense?
Okay, so we'll get Craig to look at that, and as long as he signs off on it. The one other thing on that page, on page 3, it says to operate Marysville's 2 crawler cranes. You don't really want that to say Marysville's 2 crawler cranes, do you? Because we don't own any crawler
Yeah, we
cranes.
can take the word Marysville out.
Okay,
Sorry.
because we don't have those. Okay, so we'll strike that. Going down to number 6, U6, UP rejected the $50,000 per year maintenance, but Doug has another offer for us.
Yeah, so what I would like to propose, okay, so in order to provide money to the city, we need to generate revenue. And so what I would like to propose to this group is that we pay you $3,000 for every wind train that arrives or departs, loaded wind train that arrives and departs this facility. So if we have 20 wind trains in 1 year that arrive or depart, whichever, loaded, that you would raise that would raise you $60,000 versus $50,000. Now, I can't guarantee you the amount of trains. I can't guarantee you anything, but I can guarantee you that you would get $3,000 for every unit train that came in of wind components, loaded wind components, or went out. You may load some out, back out on the trains, and we would provide it that way. It's a control factor. We'll know that. The other items we don't know. I don't have the ability to provide a $50,000 check annually to the city. I don't have that authority or that ability to do that, but I do have the ability to provide you with data about the trains that come in and provide you with a notice so that you will invoice us so that we can pay you. And that can be done for the next 4 years, and we would agree to that. And it could be, I mean, if we do 30 wind trains, you're even going to make more money. Of course, it could be sometimes when we only do 15. But I think we'll do quite a few trains in here, so I think you'll get some revenue that way. And it's a way for us to get revenue to give you revenue. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense because the amount of trains that come in will determine how much usage is on our highway. You know, I brought up the point when he mentioned it, I said, but it doesn't include trains or trucks in. You know, we know the tax credits are 100% in 2016, so they expect some trucks in 2016. That will probably taper off, but they can't control that as well. But so we would, it would only be what's trained in, railed in. So how do you guys feel about that?
I'm fine with that.
It's reasonable?
Yeah, I think you do.
It's some income coming in off of it, so.
Yeah.
I would say depends
Vicky.
where we go with
It's
some
not
of the
just
other
what's
topics.
trucked, I mean, whatever's trucked in is gonna go on their railroad, but it's gonna go on a car because. they're not-
No.
No, necessarily.
Vicki, there could be a chance that things are trucked in and trucked
Trucked
out
out?
and not put on a train.
I never got that.
Well,
Well,
that's what,
I outlined that initially in our first couple of meetings. So,
they could buy the
yes.
materials, not have time to get them railed in, truck them in, and store them here, and then truck them out, and we wouldn't get any revenue for that. But we would get revenue for everything that's railed in.
Do you make revenue, Doug, because it's stored here in your yard?
Not really, that's kind of the draw of the facility, is that we're trying to convince customers to come here, and we're competing against other locations here in Kansas, which are offering kind of the same thing. So we have to be market-driven on our pricing, so we really don't make a lot of money on the rental, and as I said to the group the last time I was here, is that UPDS does pay rent to the Union Pacific Railroad at the market price. And so we are not getting this land for free. We're going to spend a lot of money to prepare this land, which is going to go locally to this community, because we're going to use local folks to do that. But we are not going to get the land for free, so we have to pay rent to our parent company.
Okay, to your parent company. Let's just be clear, it's to your parent company, so UP still makes money on the deal. It's not, you may have a cost, but UP has revenue, right?
Yeah,
You're not paying this to another company that you have no...
No, that's true.
Okay.
No, you're exactly right. Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, I understood that you were going to bring wind components in, store them here, and truck them out, but you will actually have some situations where you're going to rail them in, store them, and then rail them out as well?
We believe so, yes, we think
So
so.
would we make money railing in and railing out?
For every loaded wind train that arrives or departs.
Okay, so we could make money on rail wind going out without any impact on our streets, so.
Yeah, and we feel like that will happen, because some of these components are not going to be erected or even put in the state of Kansas. They could go to North Dakota, or they could go to California, they could go to Texas, they could go to a lot of places. So the best economic way for the customer to move the components is by rail. So if they can rail them in and rail them out, they would like to do that if they're going more than about 500 miles away from here. So that's really kind of the...
How does documentation flow as far as, I mean, the city's not going to be keeping close track of train movements. How will we find out when things
We
come and go?
will notify you of when we receive any train schedules, we will provide those to the city in emails, and we will notify you of every train that comes in and goes out. And I mean, the audit process, we can add in here a comment about that the city has the right to audit our records on any loaded wind trains are going out, and we can provide that to you. Because we're going to tell you, we're not going to do this without telling you.
And it might be easier too if it was like on a monthly basis or something like that, rather than every single time. Otherwise, it's
sure.
just more work for everybody.
Right, we can
Arrange
send
that.
you a notice and say, this train arrived, and you know, we got another one coming next week and another one coming the following week. And so if you want to wait for the end of the month, you know, and send one bill for $1,200, or, you know, send us an invoice for $1,200. We're going to need an invoice from the city.
Are you saying you want it monthly?
I would just...
John?
Well, I mean, you tell me, Austin, would that work well for you as far as notification, so he's not constantly being managed? But
As long as it's not I mean, obviously I want to know when traffic's going to be held up, but for a train schedule, probably a monthly basis would work out.
Well, that's true. We will know when they go out, but that would be truck traffic out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of different than rail in and out.
We can do this on a monthly basis. It's not an issue. We'll make it as easy and as convenient for the city as we can. We understand you don't want to bill every 5 minutes. We would consolidate bills and trains and information. Okay. I think once you see what we give you, then you're going to know. And
Okay, the next one, the U7, it was annexation. You know, they said they don't have the right to annex it because it's UP property rather than UPDS. Are you guys okay if we don't annex it?
Yep.
Not a big deal? Okay.
Yep.
On U8, they just pulled apart where it says UPDS will be responsible for snow removal on any of its leased property. Well, that kind of makes sense. What is in the document is that the city will continue to remove snow in accordance with city ordinance. We won't own that property. That'll be Marshall County property still. So we don't have to worry about snow removal on their property if we don't annex it. You guys okay with that?
Yeah, because we're just going to clear it up to,
Our 7th Street like
up to
normal.
Calhoun. Yeah.
So, okay, so that's an okay. And number 9, the legal fees. I explained to Doug that our city attorney doesn't come to every meeting, but he's come to all these special meetings specifically for the MOU.
Yeah.
And so he's agreed just to say,
Just leave it in, just as it is. We forget the rejection.
Okay.
Just leave it in, we'll pay the $3,000.
okay, so they're okay with that.
But we will not leave in the part about the annexation.
Right, because we're not going to annex, so we'll pull that part, but, so they'll pay whatever expenses we have related to this and for the lawyer's fees, okay? U11, we've already discussed, so U12, we're on the next page, U12. I think, I'm not sure that Craig got this down right. I thought we initially talked about 2 days, but anyway, somehow it got into 2 hours.
In the paper, it says 3 days.
3 days, okay.
That's what it said in the paper. It said it didn't say, it said 3 days.
3 days.
It didn't say 72 hours. I just made it 72 hours, but hell, yeah, we'll respond to you.
Yeah, I don't know how we got 2 hours out of there, but I'm okay with 3 days. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
In place, pardon me, Mayor, in place of 2 hours, we crossed through that and put 3 days?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think that was just a mistake on the way out the door. Okay. The next 3 things he made, and the last one, U13, has to do with the 9 acres, and they said they reject it because UPDS is not, that property is not owned by UPDS.
We figured that.
So they did say that they would add something to say that they would encourage and influence UP. It was a foundation as much as possible to encourage it to go forward.
Well, I mean, I understand that, and I understand their position. I got to talk to Doug a little bit today, but I mean, I still go back to it's not enough. To me, this is just me personally speaking, to the people who've talked to me, it's not enough. I mean, there needs to be language about facilitating. I understand that it's not theirs to give, but in the same way that I can't make my, spouse do something, correct, I can't make her, but I can facilitate that. I can talk to her and convince her. I can, help, make things happen, grease the wheels. And I'd like to see more language to that in here. I don't know how that would work, but I think that's important as far as the fair and balanced benefits of the city side
Well,
of
I
things.
think what Carlos said would address that.
Well, I think that he did speak with David Lynn, who's here, after the meeting on Tuesday night. And did you get the feeling that UPDS was going to do everything they could toward getting the trail thing to work?
I got that impression, yes.
So he said he spoke with Dr. Brown and David Lynn. Do you know who else? David was there?
I can't remember the other gentleman's name. He's very tall.
Mark Hoffman.
Mark Hoffman. So, I mean, he's okay with putting some kind of language in to encourage, influence,
Facilitate. I mean, if I'll do whatever I can to try to support the trail, try to get the trail put through. There is an offer by Union Pacific Railroad's Real Estate Department to the trail group. I'm not privy to that. I know that there's an offer out there. I'm not even sure what the amount is or whatever, but we will, Lindsay Douglas and I met with Dr. Brown and Dave and some of the other folks and said that we would like to meet with them after this vote is taken on the MOU, and that we would work with them to try to reduce the dollar amounts that are on there and try to facilitate helping the process so that the trail group can match up. I mean, I understand where you guys are coming from, and I know what you want, and we want to try to help, and we think we can. And we'll do everything in our power to do so. So if you want to put any language in that says that UPDS and I don't think you want to put my name, but UPDS will do everything in their power to influence the Union Pacific Railroad to support the trail. I don't have a problem with that. If you want to propose some language, Todd, if you've got something in mind.
That sounds pretty good, what you just said. Everything in your power sounds pretty good, persuasive. So,
But
I
none
like
of that's
that.
contractually, we can't hold them contractually to saying we'll do everything in our
Well, I understand. I also understand, and to speak frankly, in all my dealings with Union Pacific, I'm not saying they're dishonest, but they're a business, and if it's not in print, then it's like it doesn't exist in the world.
That's right.
So I feel like that would give me a little more assurance that it's, maybe actually
Yeah,
there.
but Todd, this isn't Union Pacific.
Oh, sure it is.
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah, this,
I disagree.
Are you Landau Corporation?
yes, when I'm on the clock, I am. When I'm doing business that helps Landau Corporation make money, I am. They're doing business that helps Union Pacific make money, so they're part of it. That's all I'm saying.
I
Does
disagree
Landau
with
Corporation have a wholly owned subsidiary?
Yes, we do. But
And so
let's
you
not
work
run down
for-
the rabbit hole.
I was just going to say, you work for them. I don't think you commit to
I
Landau
understand
Corporation.
that they exist to benefit each other, and that's understandable. That's the business, but I'm saying I don't exist to enrich them. I exist to enrich the city of Marysville, and to me, that means protecting it, and that means offering as much opportunity and fighting tooth and nail to do what we can.
This is a good deal for the city of Marysville. It's going to bring money in. You can't hammer a business that wants to come in and make them pay for everything.
No, absolutely not. But this isn't something where I'm asking them to pay for anything. I'm not sticking to it on the $50,000 maintenance fee or anything else. This is a no skin off their back situation. They will make every buck off of this town that they can. They will squeeze it, they will squeeze it, and they will squeeze it. And I understand they're a business, not you, your parent company, which we've established is completely separate.
I hope you don't ever want to job.
I'm
with
just going to
Union
get on the
Pacific.
soapbox for a minute, and I'm going to say that they'll do everything they can to make money, which is exactly their job. I get it. But that's not what our role is. Our role is to make sure we do everything we can to protect the interests of the city. That's okay. I'm just saying I want language in there that says that, and I believe Doug, I believe that he's going to do what he can to help us. I understand what he can and can't have in here. It was really beneficial talking to him this afternoon. But realistically, I think we have to really make sure we get as good of a deal as we can.
Okay, so we'll put
That's
that
my
verbiage
position.
in, that he will do everything humanly possible. I'm just kidding. But facilitate, encourage, influence, we'll put something in there. The one thing I forgot to say is about type of goods and services that they'll be transporting.
Mayor, can the audience please pipe down a little bit? It's kind of hard to concentrate when they're chattering.
Oh, okay.
I'd appreciate
I
that.
didn't hear
Thank you.
anybody. I was listening to you, Todd. But someone brought up to me the possibility of them transporting contaminated goods, hazardous materials. We need to make sure that we're protecting that area. As I understood, the wind distribution would just be wind component parts. And, but in this agreement still has something to do with a potential loading facility in here. So
If you would, Carla, we can add, and we will add language associated with this on page 3 of 7 of the third rendition or version of this that I sent back, which is kind of a clean version. Right in the middle of kind of the page, it says, UPTS will allow local businesses to load and reload and track access to the Marysville Wind Distribution Center, so on and so forth. We can add in here that, no hazmat materials, no wet or dry chemicals, because those could be contaminants, okay? And we can add that language in here so that we protect that we will not do any transloading nor storage of any of those type of goods on the ground out here.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so that way, now, we don't do a lot of transloading of wet and dry chemicals. Now, when I say dry, plastic pellets is an opportunity here. And so plastic pellets are a dry chemical, but they're a plastic. So, we might want to put that, because you could bring in rail cars of plastic pellets, and actually take them out of the rail cars and put them in trucks and deliver them around here to people that use plastic in forming something. So I don't want to limit business here, because that's an opportunity, and there could be a good use for that. I don't know if you need anything like that, Todd, at your location, but
not specifically.
I know you're more steel.
Peanuts? Or little bitty pellets?
They're the little tiny pellets.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, real little.
Like BBs.
But they're not a contaminant. They don't, so we want to be careful what commodities we limit.
I was going to say, I'm not super familiar with hazmat schedules, but there's there's distinctions, right, between that and fire extinguisher, dry chemical. There's...
Yes, right. So when we use the word hazmat, we definitely knock out anything that's hazardous. So,
right.
But we'll add language that, and Craig can look through that language, and we'll make sure that it's right. We don't want to, we're not trying to contaminate or bring anything in here that's dangerous, so we're not going to bring any acids and...
And the wind distribution center is strictly wind components, right? That the only thing that would be stored there, exclusively the transloading, would be wind component parts. Exclusively, right?
Well, storage, if we, had a steel opportunity to bring in steel and put steel on the ground and store it there, I don't think you want to limit the storage just to wind turbine components.
In case the transload facility needs that space, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we want to, we're giving access to the community and to industries here to use the facility for rail transloading. And so we don't want to limit it too much, because if you start to get into that, then you've got a document. Of course, okay, let's be, this document can be amended too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can always sit down and talk about things and amend parts of this document that make sense for us. So we can amend it next month if we have to. So there's things that do that, but I don't want to limit it, because I don't want to take commerce out of here, right?
Right.
You don't want to do that either.
So anyway, I would recommend we'll put that hazmat limitation on page 3. So is there anything that you believe that Craig did not include in his bullet points?
I thought he did a pretty good job.
I did too.
Okay, so at this point in time, it's probably advantageous to go ahead and proceed with this document, take a vote to proceed with the document including all these changes, and have possibly Craig and I work out the final language to be presented Monday night to council. Okay? Instead of, you're not going to see anything again. You'd have to trust Craig and I, except I just have Craig do it, but he's not here. So I would say Craig and I will work through the details of the language as we approve this, and to be presented Monday night. Are you guys okay with that? Yes.
I do want to say that I do not agree that this is a good agreement. So if we're basically agree to finish this up, but with the assumption that we think this is a good deal, and I don't agree. I think there's all the benefit is for the distribution services, and there's no tangible benefit to the city. We could be agreeing to 4 years and get no dollars, nothing.
Well, that would mean they have no rail business.
Well, it could be, but we tied up, there's no, I just don't think there's enough in it for the city.
If there's no rail, if there's no...
So we're at least tying it up for 2 years, and there could be, besides paying the attorney's fees, there's no financial benefit at all. You tie up the city
but
for 2
there's
years.
opportunity to bring commerce to Marysville.
Opportunity, but I think we talked about a lot of things we wanted in the deal, and all of those were rejected, except we got the 3. Yeah.
Well, the only thing that was rejected is the trail, really. You think about the legal fees we got. We're going to get $3,000 per train back. We didn't go with the annexation, but that wasn't a big deal. Besides the trail, what do you think we didn't get?
Well, I think with the annexation, we were talking about more revenue, so now we're talking about an unguaranteed amount versus a potential amount per year.
Brad, the deal about the annexation, you guys can annex that land all you want to. It's just not in this MOU.
But we've also taken it off the table because it was.
We could go ahead and pursue it with the UP.
Well, yeah. But then we also took the trail piece off, and I get why they can't do it. I bet that doesn't mean we can't require the UP to do it before we sign the agreement. So we can require the UP to sign over the, basically hold this up, because to me, we have no leverage. Once we've signed this, we have absolutely no leverage.
Well, I feel that that's, with the changes tonight, that this isn't a reasonable agreement, because we're dealing with a division, we're not dealing with the parent company.
Well, why don't we go ahead and take a roll call vote whether to proceed drafting a document to be voted upon in a final form on Monday night, and allowing Craig and I to knock out the final. Austin's going to be gone tomorrow, so he can't help. So Craig and I will go through these and try to get it in final form by Monday night and discuss it with Doug and make sure we're happy, at least to the best I can remember our discussion tonight.
Need a motion?
Yes. Can you do all that?
Move? Yes, move to go forward with an agreement between City of Marysville and Union Pacific, what's the rest of it, Doug? Distribution Services?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, authorizing the mayor and city attorney to hammer out whatever is necessary
As we've discussed tonight.
as we have discussed tonight.
I'll second that.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and take a roll call vote from the get-go?
Basinger?
Yes.
Boss?
Yes.
Ekis?
No.
Fry?
No.
Gross?
Yes.
Schroller?
Yes.
Thron?
Yes.
5-2.
5-2. All right, so we will proceed and we'll discuss it Monday night, all right? If there's anything that you don't think that was clearly communicated tonight, you need to get that to me as soon as possible. And at this point, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.